morning, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you today in this teacher's interview. My name is Andres Rodriguez. I'm from Guayaquil, Ecuador, and this teacher's interview is for professional development here. We have teachers around the world, from different places, countries, and we can interact and learn from experience. And today we have a special guest. Let me introduce Dr. Socorro Herrera from Kansas State University. I had the opportunity to meet her the first time when I was in a scholarship in the Kansas State University. It was more than uh, 10 years ago, I think. So now I have the privilege to interview her. How are you, Dr. Socorro? Thanks for being here.
Well, I am excited on this Sunday morning to be here and to learn and to share and to engage on this virtual space.
Great, great, great. Yeah. Well, Dr. Socorro, I can't believe my eyes. You are here. I didn't remember last time I saw you. Think that there were some time ago, but it's a pleasure now. So, well, the first thing that I would like to share with you is uh, if you can introduce yourself, because we here in this chapter there are some teachers that they don't know you. So, would you introduce yourself, please, first?
Well, I am Socorro Herrera. Like Andres said, I'm at Kansas State University. Been here. This is my 30th year teaching at Kansas State. I have lived all my life in classrooms, all my life in education, and it's what I love to do. My doctorate is from Texas Tech University, and it's not in curriculum and instruction. Imagine that. When I went in to get my doctorate, I wanted to know the socio-emotional, the psychological dimension of students learning a language or being in classrooms or in spaces where they didn't speak English, and what it is that the impact was socio-emotionally and psychologically, and how that impacted learning or acquiring a second language. And so, like I said, I've taught elementary school, I've been in middle school, high school, and then definitely at the university level. And I want to say, this isn't just like, oh, I taught elementary school many years ago. I still go in and do demonstration lessons. I still co-teach with teachers. So I'm still in the classroom. And I think that's important for all of us, is to always be with the community, be with the family, be with the students. Because if I was to leave you like, who am I? I'm a person that believes that teaching is not just el contenido, the content, and it's not just being in the classroom. It is encompassing society, community, school, classroom, and it's and how we live, how we teach, with all of that in mind. So
Great, thank you. Thanks for sharing your insights. Okay. Okay. Well, give me one
hi,
second.
Robert.
Mr. Robert, good morning. Thanks for being here. Mr. Robert, he's from Peru. It's a pleasure that you are here. And okay, during the interview, we are going to have more questions. Okay, Dr. Herrera. Okay, it was you were very clear when you explained about the curriculum instruction. Let me tell you that when I had the opportunity to improve my knowledge, learn different methodologies. So, can you talk about the methodologies that you imply that you apply, no, in during uh, your work at school, and how was that experience? So what results do you observe in your students? Can you explain us, please? I'm sorry, you are muted, doctor.
What happened? I didn't mute myself. So here we go. So first I want to begin that I start with all the theoretical constructs that we are all familiar with as teachers. We know the communicative approach, and we've worked with a grammatical approach, and we work with the cognitive approach. So please understand that it would take too long during the interview to explain those constructs, those foundations, esa teoría that is the foundation of what it is that we do. But in the research and the work that I've been doing for the last maybe now almost 25 years, I really explore the biography of the student. And by the biography, I mean that sociocultural dimension. So imagine that every child, whether you're teaching 80 or 120 students, or whether you have a classroom of 25 or 26, every human being in there who comes into learning in that space comes in with knowledge that is experienced in the world, knowledge that is experienced in the home, knowledge that's experienced in the community. Those are words. Those are those are mental images that we carry around. And so in the methodology that I work with, we really explore the activation of prior knowledge. So many times we say background knowledge, ¿qué le falta al alumno? What do they need so they can be successful? Because maybe they're low socioeconomic, or maybe they haven't had very many experiences as we see it. Every human being has experiences. So when I start a lesson, especially when I'm teaching English, I want to know, what have you known out in the world that might help me teach you? And so I activate that background knowledge, that prior knowledge. And then I get into the lesson, but I don't get in thinking, aquí estoy, tengo que enseñarles, I'm here, I've got to teach them. I go in thinking they have knowledge, and in a Vygotskian, using Louise Moll funds of knowledge, I'm going to use what they know to lift them. Y sí, puede ser el español, puede ser el idioma indígena, whatever language. All of our English learning comes from the motivation for me to see it, that it's not just this class, that it's out in the world. It's in my music, it's on television, it's on billboards, it's everywhere. And that it's not about for me getting just a job and doing better economically or getting into the university, that I know a whole lot and that others know a whole lot, and coming together, I'm going to then work towards something. And so when I move into that connection phase, grammar is important, but grammar is also learned through actual use of the language. It is in the act of communicating with others. It is in using the language in meaningful ways. So if I use a book and I'm just doing the grammatical, and I'm teaching the rules, and I'm teaching vocabulary about the kitchen or household items or how to go to a restaurant, it really doesn't bring me joy. It's an act that I am completing to complete a class, to complete a test. And so it's in that connection phase is, how do we bring the curriculum that is required to life? And then how is it that at the end we say, mira todo tu conocimiento cuando empezaste, and look at where you are as we come to the end of the lesson. And what does this mean for you beyond an economic advantage and beyond an advantage that is you're going to pass this class? What does it mean to live the language and take it out into the world? How will you see the world differently? What will you be able to access? And so if you think what we've done in the work that we do at the Center for Intercultural Multilingual Advocacy is that we've melded the cognitive and the communicative with the biography of the learner. ¿Quién eres y a dónde te puedo llevar? You know, who are you and how can I lift you? So Andres, that's a lot of talk because I talk too much, but that describes the methodology that we use. It's a very very student-centered methodology.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I understand when you express, no, Dr. Socorro, no. So the methodology is uh consists of different approaches. Now where we don't use only one, and that's great because we can see that the human being is different, so we can learn from different learning styles. No, okay. Dr. Socorro, here in the chat we have some teachers like Rafaela. Rafaela Vinuesa, she's from Ecuador too. I think she has been as an English teacher in the Go Teacher program. I don't know if you remember her.
Yeah, I do. How are you doing, Rafaela?
Rafaela, are you hearing me? Can you? I would like to see you, or maybe she is driving. I don't know, but well, we have some colleagues here that they will. I appreciate it that they can ask questions during the interview. Okay, so I would like someone else here in this chat soon. Would ask something to Dr. Socorro. Feel free to ask something, no? Or if you want to know more about Dr. Socorro experience, I think that that's the moment. Okay, okay, dear colleagues. Okay, Dr. Socorro. Apart from the methodologies and the different method that you briefly explain us, okay, um, can you tell us what were the wonderful moments that you have experienced in your career as an English teacher in the elementary school, in the past, or maybe at present? So, do you remember a memorable moment that you still conserve in your heart?
You know, there's so many, and I think, as I was saying earlier before we started recording, that the magic, because really being a teacher is magical. Being a teacher is emotional. Being a teacher is this lifelong feeling of being fulfilled. You know, our heart and actually our mind is fulfilled as we watch um, the cognitive pathways, you know, how kids come to know what they know. And so, but you know, the most joyous thing that I have seen is going to Ecuador actually. In although I didn't witness it, but I witnessed a lot of other things in schools, is that Pedro Espinosa shared once that he had gone up into the mountains very you know, far, far away, and that a teacher had taken the dots chart. For those people, it's a strategy that we use in biography driven instruction, and had taken the students out and had drawn a dots chart and was using sticks to write words because they didn't have pencils. And so there's so many stories like that one that I have experienced also. That one stands out because it was so unique, where in the moment of teaching, uh, it was not the curriculum, it was not the resources. Those are important, don't get me wrong. We want every child to have a pencil and paper and books, but the genius of so many teachers. And so there's so many stories like that I the genius of teachers who take something. There was a Go teacher that where I went into the classroom one day, and he had taken his iPad and he had created a projector out of multiple pieces of you know, of cardboard and plastic, and was streaming, you know, or projecting the TikTok or the video that he was showing onto the ceiling with all the kids laying on the floor. And I'm talking 50 kids in this big, huge room. And it was silence in there. And I thought, Oh my gosh, look at Jose. Look at this genius. Look at this. Look, his love of teaching is so great that you know that he's coming up with ideas because he doesn't have the technology. And so I'm kind of going in circles because like I said, there's so many, but I think when I watch the genius of teachers who don't have a lot of resources, or the genius of teachers who are using a scripted curriculum because they have to use these books and they have to do it a certain way, but they find their ways to do it. When I was teaching at the elementary level, I remember collecting things in the activate phase of the lesson, and I hadn't worked with Mandarin with Chinese students very much. I hadn't worked with the Mandarin language, but I would send things home for parents to do and in their language and then send it back. And I had put it up on the wall. And I remember a child grabbing my hand, walking me and pointing to the picture and saying, "That's me, that me." You know, that's what he said. And I thought, every human being wants to see themselves, wants to hear themselves in our classrooms. So, like I said, so there's three stories in you asked me for one, but like I said, there's so many. I think my happiness is the genius of the teacher, que no se hace para atrás, no tiene todos los like excuses that of why not, but rather they have the solutions of why. And then when a child sees themselves in the classroom, they see their visibility. Son visibles para la maestra, no son invisibles. And so that's where the beauty comes in for me.
Yes, Dr. Socorro, I agree with you, and I'm convinced that a teacher that solve problems and finds solutions, okay, in when there are different struggles and problems in their communities at school, I think they are like superheroes, and we can learn from that story. Um, yeah. Somebody else would like to make a comment, say something about the topic that we are talking about today is Dr. Herrera story, experience, and also the your for the teachers that recently came to the session. We are talking about methods, experience, and she last talked about something that was memorable in the during her teacher practice. No, would someone else would like to share something about your teaching experience or an anecdote that you would like to share with us? I think this is the moment.
I would love to hear what your magical moments are as you teach, as you use your genius to teach, you know, as you're solutions oriented. So yes, please share.
Yeah, Dr. Socorro. Well, in this case, I will really share something, an anecdote once. I remember in the 2016, okay, so after 3 years when we just recently came for the scholarship from Kansas, I was working in a public high school here in my city in Guayaquil, Ecuador. In that place, in that local place, well, I in that year I had eighth graders, so children that came from elementary school, and I immediately thought, okay, this is the moment where I'm going to start with the things I learned. So I still conserve in that time the biography driving instruction book, the blue book. Do you remember that? It was
Yes.
I still conserve that book, and I was paying attention to the sections that they have, the annexes, the activities, and exam and the models, no, for the activities, no. So according to my students' need, okay. I said no. I said myself, I will first notice what they need. So from their background, from the social status, I mostly remember what what you and the other teachers at the Kansas State show us how we could implement those theories. So I tried it myself. I was doing. And I found it that it was fascinating to my students because they enjoyed it. They say a lot, okay, hi teacher. Um, we never did it before in this way when we learn English. So I was trying with the do you remember the vocabulary pick tac tell and story and another strategy. So it was working at the school with the students in that moment. The best was that they were learning. So and they were learning naturally. So rather than when you are instructing or having some grammar in the content. So I mostly observed that they were learning fun in that way. So for me, it was a great experience because I noticed that when they are in elementary levels, they could do their best. They could do so in different stages. They can do their best, but I appreciate it in that stage because I mostly heard their comments. They express their gratitude and they feel so good. So
You
I
know,
think it
and
was memorable.
I love that you said eighth grade, and elementary, still there's some students that are shy about speaking language and all of that, but in the seventh, eighth, sixth grade, and then in la secundaria, it is la prepa, it is just so like I shut down. And I don't know who I am, and I don't know where I fit, and I think people are going to laugh. And so when we open the doors and we say, I see you, I want to know you, and I want to teach you,
Okay.
that's whenever it's like, wow, this doesn't happen. Usually I walk in, I open my book, and the teacher teaches, and I take a test and I go. But especially learning a language encompasses all of us. It's our head, it's our heart, it's our being, it's our experiences. And if I could do anything for world languages, for English as a foreign language, it's like bring the whole person into the learning. Bring the, we say, oh, preparing for the global world. Bring their global world, into, because they may not even have ever left their own community. And so, but they listen to music, they watch movies, there's unfortunately or fortunately, there's a McDonald's everywhere. So bring their world. What have they seen? What have they not seen? So I love your story. I love your story.
Thank you, Dr. Socorro. Well, in this moment, we have the intervention of Alexa. No, Alexa. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Well, we hear you.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you. I was a good teacher in 2014, and I was studying in New Mexico State University.
Yes.
So it was a great experience that I always memorize and share my story with my students. So something that I remember, it was when I returned to Ecuador. I used to work in a bilingual high school. So they are Quechua hablantes, and it was a challenge for me because some of them speak a little bit Spanish, and so in my case, I never in my life speak Quechua. And to introduce the strategies at the first, it was a challenge for me. But when the time is past, it was like I can do it, and I can introduce some of the vocabulary and try that they learned another kind of language, and it was great because they understand at the end, and it was wonderful to share some strategies that as Andres I share with the Blue One book. and it was awesome. So I know that when we return to Ecuador, most of us return to Ecuador with expectations. So it was like, te quieres comer el mundo, like, and
Sí.
try to share everything that you learned. But at the same time, it was not, we don't have too much time to share with them. So we try to explain these kind of things. I try to introduce them to another language, because in Ecuador, I don't know if the other colleagues think like me, but English is like a devil from the students. So they don't want to learn this beautiful language because they have bad experience. So it is a kind of challenge to us to try to introduce them to new strategies. But at the end, I think most of us, um, we have a better good experience with our students, and they learn new things.
Yes,
They try to, yeah, they try to focus in another kind of vision, and they say, no, English, it is good also for games, also for YouTube and this kind of TikToks and wherever.
yes,
So
yes.
this is awesome that they say, for me in this case, I work with a kind of, it is not a high school, it is a college. So they have to introduce some other expectations, and I use your strategies, and try to be like more dynamic. So this kind of classes, and they say, I like, English is not like I think, because my experience was like this. And in the first day of class, I always say like, I have this experience. Maybe you can travel to other country, and you can use, even if you are in Ecuador, most of the time you can travel to other cities, and maybe one day you can have like a gringo's friend, and you are going to use the this kind of language. So it is good that students, for that reason, they want to learn English.
Alexa, oh my gosh, you had so many powerful things to say. So, but I'm going to pick one. First, it's great to see you again. And hopefully we can keep in touch. I have so many questions, but I think what you said, it was hard. It was difficult because the students see English as the devil. I think that is so important. Unless we bring more than content. Si llegamos a enseñar nada más el contenido del inglés, la gramática, it doesn't mean anything. And students are used to that. And it takes sometimes weeks to begin to change it, the attitude that much. But once English comes to life in the way you described it, kids want it. The TikTok, the the X, they know that it is not, we're not learning English porque es una materia, that we are learning English because it's joy, it's exciting, it's personal. And so I think I thank you for what it is that you said, and I'm glad it's recorded because you put it beautifully. Learning the English language is for me. It's not for a grade. It's not for, I mean, we get grades and we have to go to class and all of that. But it's something that's going to bring me joy, but I have to see it. And the only one that can help me take all the cobwebs and the fog and let me see the sunshine is the teacher and what the teacher does. Yes, cansado. But you asked Andres about one moment. I bet Alexa has stories of when the kids were like, I want to be with you. I want to be learning English with you. And so not for you, but with you. And so anyway, and Lidi,
Yes, I speak English. To change my default language, the settings menu in the Alexa app.
I don't know.
Select device settings,
I
the
don't know.
device, and then select the language. You can also ask me how to say things
I
in
don't know
English
what's
by
happening.
asking
Hold
something
on.
like Alexa.
Hello. Yeah. Well, I think it's okay. I admitted maybe there was something an interference. Can you mute yourself, doctor? Okay, thank you. Doctor, I
So
was reading Lidi, I think she's Monica Franco, no? Monica was sending you a huge okay, she was from cohort 3 too.
yes, I was going to send her an email when a chat when that came. Hi Lidi, do you have any questions?
Okay, dear teachers, if you have any comment, you would like to share experience, you can do it, okay? Okay, Alexa. Alexa is also participating actively. Okay, thank you, Alexa. Go ahead.
So, well, Socorro, thanks for your words. It was really nice to hear your comments, your thoughts. So, it is like a question for me. It is so personal for me. I being mother just 2 months ago. Just I am primeriza, so it was a kind of challenge to be a mother and to be a teacher. Like try to complete this kind of new work for me. And when I was pregnant, I used some of your strategies to try to introduce my daughter. So being like a kind bilingual, and now I used to speak to her, but I want that you give me some advice or a comment or a kind of words that how can I help to introduce, because I want that she speak English and learn Spanish when I was in school. So in my house, I speak like English all the time with her. She is now almost 3 months, and my husband speak like in Spanish, and he speak also Italian, and we try to introduce here some languages because, as you know, when the child it is a child, you can teach more languages that you want, and it helps them to introduce and try to bring new things and try to be like, I don't know, tratarle de enseñarle lo que más se pueda and introduce this wonderful word. And I want to know that many languages as she can. So it is my big I don't know, like my dream. I don't know how to explain it.
In those first few years, what's really important is play and music, children's music and children's book. And the more you can do to keep it in like if you're learning about La Granja, then you're learning about that, and then and using it in English, the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Not on the same day, not at the same, but so that she begins to learn the intonation, the rhythm, the prosody of the language, and she and it becomes real seamless to her. that these are two, two different, it's not like I know the two languages, but that you can communicate using different words, and then lots of exposure out in the world, but I think at home it's seeing where there's that transfer of her native language into all these other languages, that they share sounds, that they share words, that and so that is just kind of keeping the language alive. And I keep using the word today, joyful, bring that happiness of playing with different languages. I think in the EFL classroom, we don't do enough of playing with language, and at home, definitely, using language to play, using language to sing, using language to get into reading, pre-reading, pre-literacy, and kids just get it. I'm fascinated with the many couples that I know where the husband does the one language and the wife does the other, how children are just so into being intuitive, into being in what language to speak, and knowing when to use what language. And so it'll be exciting to hear, and congratulations on a new baby. That's always a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexa, for sharing your ideas and insights in this interview with Dr. Socorro. Somebody else would like to share something? Mr. Robert. Hello, Mr. Robert. Can you hear me?
Good morning, dear colleagues and teachers.
Good morning.
Talking about teaching kids, I say that I have my daughter. She's 2 years old, so I am trying to teach her English. Her mother speaks Spanish, and I try to speak in English. I try to teach her vocabulary, basic vocabulary, like vegetables, fruit, and so on. So my advice is be patient. Children learn. They learn every day. So we as parents, we need to be patient and try to encourage our babies to practice English. That's the key. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robert, for sharing your experience. Okay, Dr. Socorro, maybe you can how you explain the theory behind this practice from Mr. Robert and Alexa. They both are then their parents, and they explain us their experience with their children. So, what theory behind the practice, or what kind of knowledge we can use as English teachers to teach children?
Well, I think if we just look at Cummins' work on transfer theory, that although he talks about it as it relates to being in classrooms, that language and the way that the brain works is that, especially at a very young age, we make meaning based on all the input that we're getting in. And so I go back to play-based and pre-literacy, lots of reading, lots of music. It's being acquired in a very natural setting. And so I remember with my oldest daughter, I used to, and it brought the memory back, as Robert was talking, I used to teach the fruits and apples and everything. And then I'd bring in the groceries and I'd hide them, like in a room, like behind the bag and then I'd say, I can't find the apples. Oh my gosh, the apples ran away. Let's call the apple. Mr. Apple, where are you? Mr. Apple. And then she would be like, Mr. Apple. And I'm like, is it under the bag? No, it's not under the bag. Is it behind the refrigerator? No, I can't get behind the. So we'd play until we found the 4 or 5 fruits. And then I'd say, we found the fruits. There is Mr. Apple. There is, and we'd name all the fruits. And then we'd laugh. And then I'd say, when she was 2 and 3, do the fruits run away? And she would say, no, mommy, they don't have feet, but I would be doing it in Spanish and English. So sometimes when we were coming from the grocery store, we'd drive up and then she would say, is anything going to run away? Take the bag, mommy, take the bag. And, in English, because we had my ex-husband was an English speaker, so that was her dominant language. Pero entonces lo hacíamos todo en español. ¿A dónde se va a ir la comida hoy, mamá? I'm like, no sé, vamos a ver. And then I'd go in and hide 2 things because she wanted to play the game. I have so many things like that. We had a song in Spanish for going to bed at night, and we'd name all the articles, her pajamas, her brushing her teeth. And she loved it because it was something that the 2 of us shared. It was ours. It was our little secret. And so I think it's that language is acquired, not to be afraid if there's grammatical errors, because the more one uses the language, the most those begin to, the language begins to be shaped naturally. And so, yeah, so it's so much fun to do that with kids from the time that they're born, on. We still laugh about that, my oldest and I, about how we used to play all of those games. And she remembers those.
Well, absolutely. Children learn and they adapt that learning because of their, I think, according to second language acquisition theory and the first language, they acquire rapidly and that's good because they can learn the second language as their mother tongue. Well, I send my greetings to Miss Nancy. I think it's Nancy Ludenia. Hello, Nancy. Are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, another teacher would like to share something. Any question? Any comment? Sergio Eduardo, maybe you would like to say something?
Yes, I want to say something that is very important to share what you want to improve your English or according to what you want to express in the class, for example, right? And it's very important not to be afraid of what you're going to say. That's going to be my point of view, and it's very important in that way. Thank you.
Yes, and that's so important, Sergio. I don't know if you were on earlier when I said that I went into my doctoral program thinking about the emotional and the psychological dimensions of acquiring a language. And so all of my work is to open up the spaces, que los espacios donde estamos llevando, where we're carrying out our teaching, donde estamos haciendo nuestro trabajo, that they're open to let go of fear, that nobody owns language. Language is about making meaning. It's about exchanging ideas. It's about communicating. And so if we could do that one thing with students, to let go of fear of using the language, the acquisition would happen much more rapidly. And so that's a very important point. It's that emotional and psychological dimension of acquiring a language. We have to be very, very aware of it and give the students the tools. In my work, we call it the tools in the hands. Que tengan algo en la mano, not a book, but something that they own, something that they've written, something that's going to help them remember. So when you ask them to talk they can look down, they can talk to a partner, and they can share. So practice before you share out, because when we call students, when we're teaching and we just call them out, the brain has to process all that input, and it doesn't come naturally sometimes because we have to select the words that we're going to use. Until the words are part of our file over here, there's not that automaticity, there's not that fluency in using the language. So we have to support them by giving them something to talk from.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eduardo, for your contribution and, well, Dr. Socorro answers about this question. Well, Doctor, I think that there are many topics that we can cover during this interview, but I highly appreciate teachers' comments, anecdotes, experience, okay, and questions that we have already asked to you, and you also share with us your expertise and experience. So in my case, I'm so glad to hear and learn from you. And I would like my partners say something about this last part of the interview. If someone else would like to say something about it. Okay, well, personally, Professor, I would admit that in this last time, things are changing, no? And education is also transforming, changing, where there are many things that, many topics that are now available. For example, in artificial intelligence, applications, new ways of learning, and things like that. But the most important and insightful thing is the humanism, the part that connects content, the subjects, language with the human part. I think that it never will be old-fashioned. I think that it will never be an important component apart from the cognitivism or metacognitivism, but the human part, it will be always is a fundamental component in the learning and in the education, Professor.
And you've said that so well, Andres. AI, all the tools that we have, they're just that. They're resources and they're tools, but they will never replace the human mind. You know, the need for relationship when we acquire a language, the psychology of learning a language, all of those things, and the role of the teacher in all of that. So yes, we have many tools, and AI is an interesting and exciting one. That's on my list for this summer to learn, to see how it can be a tool in the classroom, because I think it will be a tool in the classroom.
Absolutely. I agree with you, totally agree with you, Dr. Socorro. Well, my dear teachers, before we say goodbye and we express our thankfulness to Dr. Socorro, let me ask you to open your cameras, okay, just in case, in order to give a big smile, to say thank you in this big picture. Okay, thank you so much, Eduardo. Well, I appreciate it for the rest of the teachers. Hello, Mr. Robert. How is
Robert
your
has a big
Monday?
smile. Robert has a big smile. Good to see you.
Yes. How are you doing, Mr. Robert?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for your webinar, Teacher Andres. Thank you, Ms. Socorro, for sharing your knowledge. I appreciate that. Definitely. Thank you.
And
Okay.
I'd like to do a big, shout out to all the Go teachers. Melissa and I talk in the office all the time. Please keep in touch. Send us an email, sococo@ksu.edu, and tell us what you've been doing. I will be in Ecuador in October, and maybe I can stop by Guayaquil on my way to Azogues, and just maybe we can have a little reunion. I really miss many all of you And so maybe we can plan on something for October that's face to face, but definitely Alexa, Lidi, keep in touch.
Yes, let us know, please, Dr. Socorro, especially for the ones who live in Guayaquil and in other cities, to date you, no, to have you, to see you in that moment. I appreciate it. Well, dear professors, this is the crazy picture. This is the moment that we are going to finish our interview, please. So, open your camera just in case. Okay. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Robert. Mr. Edwin, Viviana, hello, Vivi.
Look at all those smiles, and you had your cameras off, but it's good to see your faces.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, maybe Alexa, I'm seeing her picture. Okay.
Yes, she's probably busy someplace, but took time to join us.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to take a picture. Smile, please. Okay, that's great. Dr. Socorro, thank you. Thanks for coming. First for being here. And we learn from your experience. Hope to see you in another occasion. And send my greetings to Melissa. Melissa was here. She was also sharing with us her topics in the webinars.
Yes, yes, she told me. So thank you so much, Andres, for having me. And I look forward to doing it again one of these days, maybe on a specific topic.
Right. Maybe for a webinar, for a session, I will invite you to cordially invite you to again. Okay. From the bottom of my heart, have a great Sunday. Thank you so much. In Ecuador, we teachers are on vacation now. We are going to rest for a moment, for a while.
Go rest, and hopefully the weather is beautiful. Mwah. Besos a todos. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Andres.
Send my greetings to my friends from Peru, Bolivia, and other countries too. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Have a great
Thank you.
Sunday.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice weekend. Bye-bye.